There's no better feeling than clutching up a fight, and the ultimate form of this is pulling off a 1v3. Now, this is never something that's expected from you as a player, but if you can be comfortable in these situations, even just the occasional clutch can do wonders for your RP gains, wins, and overall confidence. What's up guys, it's Valued, and being able to 1v3 is one of the sure ways that you know you're a high level player. And today, we're gonna cover just that and prepare you to 1v3. So sit back, grab a snack, and let's get right into it. So first things first, finding yourself at a numbers disadvantage in fights is very common. Whether your teammate gets caught out or just isn't nearby for the fight, you'll often find yourself in situations where you're outnumbered. Being able to win 1v3s is basically an extension of all your Apex skill. Everything we talk about today will all be mindsets and strategies that you should be using in every single fight. From positioning and kiting to downing enemies and playing around that pressure. Being outnumbered just means you have a lot less room for error and need to play the fight patiently and smart. It requires you to have an ultimate understanding of your loadout strengths, use nades and abilities in smart ways to open up advantages, and use the surrounding landscape or buildings to allow you to find creative angles and advantages inside these fights. Winning a 1v1 is one thing, winning it and then finessing your way around their two teammates to take them out as well is another. Becoming the type of player that could turn around any situation and always having the chance to clutch up for your team is what we want. So let's get after it and break down just what it takes to get there. To pull off these fights, you've got to go about it in a very methodical manner. If you just go and challenge the enemy squad without fully understanding their position, you're gonna get zapped. The only time you should really be instantly challenging like this, if you're the last alive, is if your teammates communicated to you info to help you make a play. A good example of this is if they call out they got one of the enemies one shot and they're separated from the rest of the squad. If your teammates created pressure that you can safely act on, you should always try to do so. Even though we're talking about winning 1v3s, if you could do anything to better your odds right off the bat, you should. If that enemy really is one shot and separated from their team, getting that down and then playing out the 1v2 will be much easier than a straight up 1v3. Don't run away or camp nearby once you see your team go down. Listen for comms, and even if none come, look for safe angles to peek where they died and try to find advantages. If you can't do this without fully committing, then you should just be playing your life and setting up for the 1v3 like we'll talk about in a minute. Just make sure you're using any of that damage or pressure that your teammates created before they died, because once that squad gets healed up and organized again, it's gonna be an uphill battle. Small things like chucking a nade at the enemy that's healing after killing your squad mate or pressuring them to back off can set the stage for you to clutch up. Another incredible way to set yourself up to clutch is to do an in-depth VOD review with a top coach over at ProGuides.com. These top-level players are trained to help you reach any goal that you want to reach. From helping you with your rotations to helping you master the art of 1v3ing, they're there to help you level up your game. You don't want to miss out, so make sure to check it out in the description below. The core of fighting in Apex Legends is avoiding getting team shot. Whenever you take fights, you're looking to only ever expose yourself to one person at a time, and even that person you're looking to catch off guard. This rule is especially true in 1v3s, and these fights are where the game really puts these skills to the test. Since you're only looking to fight one at a time, this is where you have to get them separated. There are a lot of ways to go about this, and every situation is gonna be different. But the theme here is you wanna kite them out while looking for an opening. Kiting refers to you outpacing enemies when they're trying to chase you down. If this team just took out your two teammates, they know you're alone. So most teams will just run at you together. The best example of this can be found in the big buildings like the ones all over World's Edge. Large buildings, especially ones with zip lines, are great for pulling off these plays because you can move very quickly through the building, changing elevation, and overall being super slippery. We've all seen our favorite players make an entire team look silly kiting them around Streamer Building in Frag West. While this is an extreme case, the premise is the same. While you don't need to be doing crazy tap strafes or zipline mechanics, staying nimble and on the move is a huge part of not getting deleted. Everything from doors and zip lines to movement tech and legend abilities are free game, so make sure you're using it all to your advantage. As a quick side note, if you're wondering how streamers and pro players make many of these fights look so easy, it's because they're tracking enemy locations with audio. We all know we can hear enemies' movement, but pros bring it to a whole new level, mapping out enemy locations and choosing their pathing based on the audio they're receiving from all three of the players. If this sounds daunting, guys, it really isn't, and I'll go over a great way to train yourself to do this later in the video. Another big aspect of these fights that's often overlooked is how well you came prepared for them. While you shouldn't come into games just expecting your squad to go down and having to try to clutch, you've always got to be ready because, let's face it, sometimes they just go down. Coming into each game and looting with your output in head-to-head gunfights in mind will help you better be prepared for those situations. If you get caught in a close-range 1v3 with nothing but a Sentinel and an R301, no nades, and low on heals, good luck. While these weapons are great, you're gonna need to kite out enemies, hit big damage in small windows, and likely defend yourself at close ranges. That's why a shotgun like the PK or Mastiff is a must for these fights. And then having a stable AR for medium to even close range engagements is not a bad idea. Whatever weapons you decide to go with, just make sure you can deal a lot of close range damage if the time comes, while still having that medium to long range access during the rest of the game. And please guys, I've harped on it for long enough, take more nades. Having an extra frag to hit a sky nade or an arc star to look for a stick can be an entire game changer. We all need to be comfortable with every ordnance and take less ammo to make room for them. You don't need to be sitting on 400 light ammo, so grab yourself a frag and an arc and you will find yourself feeling like you have more options open to you in these tough fights, and the more options, the better. And on the topic of options, understanding what options your legend pick opens up to you in these fights is really important. Take Wraith for example. She has her portal and Into the Void to allow her to be invulnerable for a bit. Both of these tools can be massive in opening up options for you to play out a fight in a creative way. In this legend example, you could look to single out an enemy and get a quick down on them, instantly popping your tactical so that you're invulnerable by the time the other two teammates challenge you. When they go to do this, you already have a good understanding of the buildings nearby, so you're able to break line of sight on them and safely kite to the other side of the building. From here, you look to single out another target, get the knock, or maybe even portal out to safety, using it to get back into the fight quickly before they get their teammate up. There are an infinite number of ways to play many fights just on Wraith, and this applies to every legend pick. Understanding what those options for your pick are is crucial to winning 1v3s. If you're looking for some low-stake training rounds to test your skills in the art of clutching up, then make sure to join me in running some solo no-fills. I've talked about it a lot on this channel, but these really are a great way to practice. It isn't ranked, so the lobbies are going to be a lot more lax. In this situation, if you're able to win a couple different 1v3s or even just 1v2s in a game, you know that you're ready to clutch up when you go play with your team in ranked. And this feeling alone can make you perform so much better in your games. Just knowing that no matter what happens in a fight, that you have the potential to take over and down multiple enemies feels amazing. This is also a great way to improve your awareness in-game. I'm talking everything from audio and visual cues to tracking enemy movement and understanding your nearby cover. Solo no-fills force you to be aware, otherwise you're gonna get team shot by 3 people and die 90% of the time. One of the biggest aspects that they prepare you for is tracking enemies effectively with audio. In these hectic fights where you're kiting enemies out with less than a second to spare, you're rarely gonna have time to look for enemies. You're gonna need to be on the move constantly, and you have to be able to track where multiple people are at the same time, and then make your best guess where they're going. This is a combination of using the audio the game gives you and using your game knowledge to predict what the enemies are going to do. Now, this skill is one learned over many games, but as you start to get the pacing down and get more and more comfortable with your movement, this will become easier and easier. If it sounds daunting now, don't worry. This is something that you likely do already to some degree. But putting a focus on it and playing solo no-fill is definitely one of my favorite ways to go. Even if you just start in duos and practice winning 1v2s, you're gonna find yourself improving quickly, and eventually you'll feel completely at home in these 1v2 and 1v3 situations. Like I said, guys, there is no better feeling than coming out on top in a fight that you had no business winning. And if you put into practice what I talked about today, you'll be doing it a lot more often. Now, there's a ton of aspects more than I talked about today to winning 1v2s and 1v3s. So, the best way to improve is to go into it with a learner mindset and grind out some games. Put yourself into these situations more often and you'll find yourself winning more often as well. Anyway, guys, as always, it's been your boy Valued, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.